Today, I spent the entire morning walking around this town, and I noticed that at least two-thirds of the shops are closed. The place feels deserted. I even had trouble finding the breakfast place I usually go to. This is supposed to be a busy area, a popular tourist spot with a landmark building, but all the shops behind me are closed. Look at this street, it's still beautiful, but everything is shut down. Behind me is an artificial lake, and the whole row of shops here are closed. Even the parking area. This one shop is open, but I'm not sure if there's anyone inside. Starting from the first shop down the row, they're all closed. This street is beautiful, but there's absolutely no one around, and it's all closed up, all the way down.
His words highlight the economic difficulties his town is facing. Despite being near a landmark, which should be a draw for tourists and customers, many businesses have shut down.
You can see how bad the town's economy is by looking around. It's Saturday night, and yet there's no one here for late night snacks. This area is supposed to be a food street, but no one is at these night stalls. Look across the street, empty. We started noticing this after dinner, walking around and seeing more employees at these snack stands than customers. Out of curiosity, we kept walking to check things out. This one stand seems to have some business, but the next one is empty, and the one after that too. Remember, it's Saturday night. We're on a food street, and none of these places have customers. Even across the street, it's the same. No one's there. Where did everyone go? It's strange because, on our way here, we didn't see many people on the street either. It doesn't feel like a weekend evening at all.
As the town's economy declines, even on a Saturday night, when restaurants should be the busiest, the night market is eerily quiet. Now, many small towns in China may face the prospect of vanishing altogether. Data shows that over the past decade, more than 70% of China's county-level towns have been losing population, especially in small and medium-sized cities in central and western regions. With population loss, financial difficulties, collapsing property prices, and stalled public services, the peaceful life these small towns once offered is no longer sustainable. A notable sign of this decline is the large-scale reduction of public service jobs in small towns across several provinces. For example, in Shanxi province, pilot reforms have already reduced the number of such positions in low-population counties. Lofan County reduced its public service workforce from over 3,000 to just 341, a decrease of 88.6%. Hechu County went from 1,964 positions down to 659, a reduction of 66.4%. Fushan County dropped from 1,949 to 970, cutting half. The reason for these cuts is simple. Many of these towns can no longer support such large numbers of public employees. What appeared to be a thriving economy was just a bubble waiting to burst. Long-term trends in population migration show that the decline of many small towns is inevitable. Zeping Macro analyzed the population flow data of 3,000 towns from 2010 to 2020, and the results were alarming. Almost 80% of towns experienced population outflow, a 14% increase from the previous decade. Looking at the size of cities, first- and second-tier cities did not experience population loss, while the outflow rate in third-tier cities decreased slightly, from 18% to 15%. However, outflow rates in fourth-, fifth-, and sixth-tier cities rose significantly. In fourth-tier cities, the rate increased from 45% to 57%. Fifth-tier cities went from 71% to 83%, and sixth-tier cities saw an increase from 69% to 86%. In contrast, major metropolitan areas are becoming increasingly attractive. For example, from 2010 to 2020, Guangdong Province's permanent population grew by 21 million, with Guangzhou and Shenzhen alone accounting for a combined increase of 13 million. In sharp contrast, 80% of underdeveloped areas in Guangdong Province are experiencing population outflow. Large cities like Guangzhou, Shenzhen, Foshan, and Dongguan have almost drained the population of the surrounding counties. Where people go, the economy follows. Despite many articles in recent years promoting the booming consumption in small towns, in reality, much of the economic prosperity in these towns is superficial. Shops that used to be passed down for generations are now struggling to find tenants. Reports indicate that at the beginning of 2024, the rental and sales markets in 100 county-level towns across China were grim. Nearly 20 cities, including Xuancheng in Anhui, Shaoyang in Hunan, and Tianshui in Gansu, have shop vacancy rates exceeding 50%. Civil servants in these towns are also seeing their salaries shrink. Many are reporting the cancellation of year-end bonuses and allowances, with monthly wages dropping to just 3,000. Provinces like Qinghai, Gansu, Jiangxi, and Hunan are also undergoing institutional reforms, aiming to dismantle what once was considered a secure job. Why has the peaceful life in these small towns collapsed so quickly? The core reason is that the finances of many county-level towns can no longer support current expenses. For example, in 2022, none of the 88 districts and counties in Guizhou Province achieved a fiscal self-sufficiency rate of over 100%. The highest, Renhuai City, managed only 88%, while Rongjiang County had the lowest rate at just 4.7%. These towns rely heavily on financial aid from higher-level governments, and with the general decline in fiscal revenue this year, the pressure on local finances continues to mount. A typical example is Foping County in Hanzhong, Shanxi Province, a small county with a population of only 26,000, of which just over 8,000 live in the urban area. It has nearly 3,000 public employees funded by the county's budget. In other words, there's one public employee for every 8 residents. It's worth noting that in 2022, Foping County's general public budget revenue was only 25 million yuan, while its expenditures reached over 1 billion yuan. Out of this, 272 million yuan was spent on salaries alone. This means the county's entire annual revenue was not even enough to cover the wages of its public employees. This year, both the central and local governments in China are facing financial difficulties. Among 18 provinces that have released fiscal data for the first 8 months of the year, most reported either a decline or only slight growth in fiscal revenue compared to last year. Notably, 5 provinces, Jiangxi, Guangxi, Shanxi, Inner Mongolia, and Shanxi experienced year-over-year revenue declines, with Shanxi seeing the largest drop at 7.9%. In fact, many county-level towns with fiscal deficits are burdened by a large number of public employees. Recently, a report from Chengwu County, Shandong Province, sparked widespread attention. The pension structure in this county in 2023 was shocking. Here are the details. 8,778 retirees from government agencies and public institutions received 785 million yuan in pension benefits. 13,220 retirees from enterprises received 369 million yuan in pension benefits. 119,400 urban and rural residents receiving pension insurance received a total of 251 million yuan. This reveals that nearly 8,800 retirees from government and public institutions in Chengwu County received close to 8 billion yuan in pensions, while the 120,000 residents only received a combined 2.5 billion yuan. The stark disparity between the pensions of government retirees and the general population not only reflects social issues, but also exposes the immense fiscal pressure behind it. Li Changping, the current president of the China Rural Construction Institute, has conducted field research across China and found that the economies of most county-level cities have shrunk severely. The most common scene in these places is deserted industrial parks and stagnated real estate markets, with the only vibrant activity being in restaurants and eateries. In a recent article, Li warned that many counties in central and western China have annual fiscal revenues of only 200 to 600 million yuan, while their expenditures run into the billions or more. He cautioned that the shrinking of county-level economies might reach a point where the only functioning part left is the civil servant economy. Why is the food and beverage industry still thriving in many counties? According to Li Changping, it's because these towns are home to tens of thousands of civil servants and quasi-civil servants, including retired officials, current officials, employees of public institutions, teachers, and doctors. Their incomes are stable, and the central government's annual financial transfers amounting to tens of billions of yuan remain consistent. As a result, the local food and beverage economy is still holding up. A report from the CCP's media outlet, Banyuetan, revealed that in a certain county located in the Wumeng Mountains, there were 44,000 on staff and temporary employees. In 2022, the county's tax revenue was 414 million yuan, yet the budget just for salaries reached 2.6 billion yuan. Take Hegang in Heilongjiang as another example. Due to resource depletion, the city has faced significant population outflow and severe economic challenges. Located in northern Heilongjiang, Hegang was once a resource-based city that prospered from coal mining. However, as the coal industry declined, so did the city. After losing its economic backbone, Hegang's economy hit rock bottom. In 2011, Hegang was designated as part of China's third batch of resource-depleted cities. With industries fading and people leaving, the population of Hegang shrank from 1 million in 2012 to 946,000 by the end of 2022. As resources dried up and the population dwindled, the city aged, and property prices plummeted to rock-bottom levels. Hegang became a ghost town, where apartments could be bought for just a few thousand yuan. According to Chinese financial media, cities experiencing what is being called Hegangification are now spread across 25 provinces. Even China's most developed regions like Beijing, Tianjin, and Hebei, the Pearl River Delta, and the Chengdu-Chongqing economic zones are surrounded by cities facing similar fates. In Zhangjiakou, about 100 kilometers from Beijing, you can buy a two-bedroom apartment in a 60-square-meter floor area for just 60,000 yuan, or $8,500. In fact, there are dozens of properties priced around 10,000 yuan available in the area. Some argue that the root of the problem for cities like Hegang is not just population outflow, but the hollowing out of industries. Without key industries to provide employment, many towns are unable to sustain their local populations. More and more small cities are now facing the fate of Hegangification. As resources are exhausted and industries hollow out, fiscal revenues can no longer support public services, leading to public transportation shutdowns and a decline in quality of life in many towns. China's urbanization has also entered a new phase, and the reshuffling of cities is accelerating. In a 2022 policy document about the promotion of urbanization in county towns, the Chinese government mentioned the need to guide the population to relocate to nearby economically advantageous areas. This suggests that towns not included in economically developed regions may gradually shrink or even disappear in the future. As local governments face increasing financial strain, many places are dismantling a large number of coordinating agencies. For instance, Tongyu County in Jilin Province, once one of the province's deeply impoverished counties, has abolished over 900 coordinating agencies. A report from China News Weekly on September 12th highlighted this recent wave of dismantling local coordinating agencies. In this round of local institutional reforms, Tongyu County abolished over 900 coordinating agencies, including 125 out of the 150 county-level agencies. The county's 3 streets and 16 townships saw all 810 coordinating agencies abolished. In places like Shuanggang Town, the number of abolished coordinating agencies reached 109. Tongyu County is located in western Jilin Province and is under the jurisdiction of Cheng City. Baicheng experiences low rainfall and suffers from soil desertification and salinization. Tongyu County, one of the deeply impoverished counties in Jilin, has a resident population of 265,000. In 2000, authorities announced that all 90 impoverished villages in Tongyu County had been lifted out of poverty. Shuanggang Town, located in the northern part of Tongyu County, has a resident population of over 6,000. In this latest round of institutional reforms, Shuanggang Town was one of the areas with the most dismantled coordinating agencies. The head of Shuanggang Town's government stated that after these coordinating agencies were abolished, work efficiency improved, saving both time and energy compared to before. One of the town staff members mentioned that, compared to the same period last year, around 18 fewer meetings were held, and about 50 fewer documents were produced. Reports indicate that other regions, including Hunan, Shandong, Sichuan, Jiangxi, Guangxi, Zhejiang, and Jiangsu, have also streamlined and dismantled a large number of agencies as part of a new wave of reforms. Current affairs commentator Yue Shan observed that the Chinese government, especially at the grassroots level, often receives tasks from higher authorities and temporarily sets up leadership groups or command centers to manage these tasks. These groups are primarily staffed by people drawn from various departments, and once the work is done, the funding stops. However, these coordinating agencies tend to remain on the books with no one overseeing them. Now it appears that some new officials are trying to boost their achievements by cutting these hollow structures. This move is not necessarily related to financial strain, but rather reflects the bureaucratic operations of the CCP. The state media's grand publicity on this issue seems pointless. As China's economy continues to decline, the CCP's financial pressures are mounting. On September 10th, Chinese Finance Minister Lan Fuan presented a report on government debt management for 2023 to the Standing Committee of the National People's Congress. The report revealed that by the end of 2023, China's official government debt balance was nearly 71 trillion yuan. This included a national debt balance of 30 trillion yuan and local government debt of 40 trillion yuan. Among the national debt, domestic debt amounted to 29.7 trillion yuan, and external debt was 335 billion yuan. Regarding local government debt, by the end of 2023, the balance was 40.7 trillion yuan, with general debt at 15.9 trillion yuan and special debt at 24.9 trillion yuan. It's important to note that all the risks associated with local debt are concentrated in the debts incurred by local government financing vehicles, which are not included in the official government debt statistics. According to reports from Caixin, the local government conducted several rounds of surveys on hidden government debt and local government financing vehicle debt in 2013, 2018, and 2023. The scale of this hidden debt far exceeds the official government debt, but the data has not been made public. Another key indicator, the debt ratio, meaning the ratio of government debt to comprehensive financial resources, was also not disclosed in this report. The official debt mentioned above is only part of the CCP government's total debt. In reality, local governments also have large amounts of hidden liabilities. Regarding LGFV debt, Yi Cai reported in July 2023 that local government financing companies, as key vehicles for local infrastructure development, have accumulated enormous debt. It is estimated that the total interest-bearing debt of LGFVs nationwide has reached nearly 60 trillion yuan, with approximately 25% in bond form and 75% in non-bond form. However, the CCP has repeatedly emphasized that the central government will not bail out local governments. In January last year, Finance Minister Liu Qun publicly stated that the government would further break the expectation that it would guarantee local debts. The Minister of Finance also issued a letter stressing the no central bailout principle for local debts, stating each family must carry its own child. As the CCP's financial revenues continue to decline year after year, the authorities have issued multiple notices instructing all levels of government to tighten their belts and prepare for tough times. In an interview with Radio Free Asia, Taiwan National Policy Research Institute senior advisor Chen Wenjia noted that the CCP often uses infrastructure investment as a primary means to stimulate economic growth. This practice has led local governments to issue local debt to fund large infrastructure projects, increasing the burden of local debt. Chen also pointed out that China's economy is weakening, with government revenue growth lagging behind spending growth, further expanding the debt burden. Local governments, in particular, are heavily reliant on issuing special bonds to fund infrastructure and social security projects, which often have low returns and result in accumulating debt. Additionally, external factors such as U.S.-China trade tensions and the global economic slowdown have forced the CCP to rely more on debt to sustain the economy. He further noted that under the CCP's political system, it remains questionable whether the National People's Congress can exercise enough independence and oversight in practice. If regulatory oversight is insufficient, the local debt problem will be hard to control and could lead to systemic risks.